what we'll do is we'll start the first question with Al, we'll move down the line. Again, if you do have any questions, please write them on the card, bring them over to the table. As we have a lot smaller group this time, we should be able to get through quite a few questions, and that saves me and Gail from having to come up with some. So let's start with the first one here. This is one that came up in the last session. Do you support the taxing of online out-of-state retailers?
State Senator Novstrup, thank you for the question. I, like Representative Paul Dent, were on the original task force many years ago that started the streamline effort, which is an attempt to make it simple enough so that it could actually be implemented. So I think it's a fairness issue. I think if I buy a widget from a local retailer and I pay 6%, and I buy a same widget from Amazon, I should pay the same percent so that Amazon and the local Main Street merchant has the same advantage. There's still going to be some cases where Amazon is going to win. There's still going to be some cases where the local merchant's going to win, but I do support it as a fairness issue. Thank you.
I'm always happy to see a Republican senator advocate increasing your taxes by $50 million because he's admitted that sometimes we do need to go take more money out of people's pockets and spend it on good public programs. It's nice to hear, and that way I know we won't see any negative ads from Al saying that, oh, those Democrats are going to be the ones raising taxes. The Republicans just voted as a majority to take 50, maybe 58 million by Governor Dugard's estimate in money that's in your pockets now that the state hasn't been coming for, to say, nah, we want that money too. So it's good we're on the same page fiscally, that sometimes it's okay to take more taxes from people. Now, that said, I agree. If you've got a sales tax, and if you're selling stuff, yes, there should be taxes on those sales. As for fairness, I'm not convinced we've got it perfect yet because there's still a lot of unfairness here. If I go downtown and sell something, I'm paying sales tax on $1 of my sales. If I'm selling online from Minnesota, I don't have to pay tax on anything until I've sold $100,000 worth of stuff or I've sold to 200 South Dakotans. So it's not perfectly fair, and there are things to fix on this bill. We'll see what happens.
Again, I'm Brock Greenfield, and my answer is yes, I support the action that was taken in Pierre. I don't support it for the same reasons as the previous speaker, but here are the facts. Whether I buy this bottle of water from an online retailer or a Main Street business, somebody is responsible for paying the tax on that. Now, in the case of the online out-of-state retailer, they haven't been required to collect and remit it, so then it was on the user, me. In most cases, use tax did not get paid, because let's face it, there aren't a lot of people rushing to pay more taxes than somebody tells them they have to. But what happens over time, or what's going to happen over time, is we're going to be faced with a situation in which we can make a decision. Are we going to use the additional dollars that are now being brought in to fund other programs, or are we going to allow the state sales tax rate to be ratcheted down by 0.1% at a time? It'll be a good debate, and I look forward to it, but yes, I do support the action taken.
Yes, of course, I support that. We need to keep our tax system in tune with how the economy changes. And there's lots of our more modern economy that we ignore when it comes to taxation. But at least here, we can keep up to date with the trends in shopping. Fairness issue, of course. You know, this bill passed with just only 4 or 5, or that there were two bills, and there were between 4 and 6 no votes in the House, and 2 of those no votes came from Brown County. I see those votes as not only anti-education and anti-community support providers like Aspire right here in town, but I also see those votes as a misinterpretation of existing sales tax law that really encourages non-compliance. The viewpoint that this is more tax is absolutely false. And to say anything else is to encourage non-compliance with existing law. And that is not what our leaders should be doing. So I get really excited when I hear people talking about how it's a new tax, it wasn't collected before. You know, we live in a state where it's, we live in a democracy where they don't come after us with guns to collect our taxes. It's one of our responsibilities as citizens. We have a lot of responsibilities, just as many responsibilities as we have rights. And I think it's important, particularly for leaders, to not encourage non-compliance with the law.